called secrets or spy secrets, something to the extent, but like basically a training guide for somebody to think like a spy.
Oh,
Which is, yeah, that was funny.
Get extra paper here.
Both, yeah, and then needs to come back to Rick and to Tiffany. Amy?
Okay. All right, I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Well,
There we go.
oh, this is back there.
hello? I can't hear you guys. Can you hear me?
See.
There, okay. So just one thing, I'm at open house for school, and if somebody pops into my classroom to see me, I have to pop out of here.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks for letting us know. Thanks for doing this crazy thing with your schedule to be here. So the next is there's no public here. The council liaison report, there's no council liaison yet. So the next is the board chair report, and so the thing I talked about, and I will pass this around, was how well the Herald Pioneer is covering what's going on in the library. Marissa, I don't know who has the contacts there, but they're doing a great job. And I have posted some of the things. This is from obviously before the ice storm, because that was when I wrote my report. But I was trying to make the point that there's a lot of information out there, and we just need to make sure that people that we talk to know about it. And I get it that, I mean, honestly and truly, the only reason I subscribe to the Herald Pioneer is to read the library stuff, even though I can read it online. This is a public comment, so I'm not going to say anything else. But I just wanted to make people aware that, you know, there's a copy in the library. If people want to know what's going on, just encourage it, and I will pass that down for you to take a look at what I talked about. Sorry about reaching in front of you. But there's several things, and this was a particularly, I thought, great edition of the newspaper, that it has a lot of stuff in there. And then, like I said, there are copies at the service desk that people can come in and check out themselves. And if you don't want to subscribe to the Herald Pioneer, a lot of this stuff is on the library's webpage. I mean, it's a very robust webpage. The calendar is out there. And I talked with Marissa about putting the library advisory report, the library advisory board meetings on the calendar so the public can see when we are meeting. So that will be added to the calendar as well. So I did work on our presentation to the city council, but I really wanted to wait till we got a city council representative, and I'd hope he would be here tonight, but I'll pass that on to you, Rick. I will reach out to him because I'd like to send him, the bios that I created for the city council report, the draft of our working document about, what the library advisory board is and what we do. And then I'll also at some point in time talk with him about the draft of the city council report as well. And then I asked Marissa if we could also talk about the email that she sent out on December 12th about the Cultivating Canby process and stuff like that. So I hope everybody had a chance to read that. I think that we kind of expressed our disappointment in the process fairly well last time. And I just wanted to know, to get a sense of what do you think we should do going forward, if we should do anything at all, or if we should just basically say, hey, they'll get to us eventually, let it go. Does anybody have any strong opinions or thoughts on this? Come on, Linda, I can see your lips moving.
I don't truthfully think anything we said or did would make much.
You want to turn your microphone on?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't think anything we say or do at this point was going to make much difference with that process. So the library makes its own noise. I mean, that's what has to happen, is we have to make our own noise, and to wait around for the city to include us in future planning is naive, I think. So.
Anybody? I mean, I'm ready to propose that we basically let the matter drop for now. That there's kind of nothing I don't see anything we can do. I agree with Linda. I don't think they really want to hear from us. Amy, did you have anything you wanted to say?
I agree with you. I do think we need to let that go, but I think what we need to do is make the library more vital in the community, which I think we do very well. I mean, the library does very well. I think that's what makes the library more known to people. And those
so I'm
meetings.
going to basically suggest that we just drop the whole looking at the whole
I
cultivation
agree.
for right now. That I just don't think it's a valid or strategic use of our time and effort. So I'm not gonna make a motion. I'm just gonna say that's the direction that we're heading in. And I think Amy's right. I think, and Linda's right too. The library has to do things on its own to get people aware and stuff like that. So
just one comment. I think there's a second meeting tomorrow night.
There is.
For a duplication
of the last
other
meeting.
one for people that couldn't give input. And I assume it's the same format to some extent to make it consistent. I don't know what the format is, but it's an open thing. So I guess people, if they want it as an individual or just their own education, possibly that we could. But as far as a formal thing, I agree. I don't think we should invest time on a formal kind of process here.
Okay, but thank you, Marissa, for this information. It really was very, very, very helpful.
Yeah.
The last point that I want as part of my chair report is to introduce our newest library advisory board member, Tiffany Mack. Linda and I know Tiffany through her work through the Friends, and I will let Tiffany take it from there.
Hello. Do I need to do something specific?
Oh, yeah, you hit the,
Just the
it
button
this
on there,
button?
yeah.
when it's green, then you.
Okay. Hi there. My name's Tiffany Mack. I am a clinical laboratory scientist. I am the lab manager for Women's Healthcare Associates in Portland. I've lived in Canby since, gosh, early 2000s. I have two kids in the school system. My daughter goes to Trost, and my son is graduating this year, which is terrifying. Yeah, I've been volunteering with the Friends of the Library for a little over a year, and when this opportunity presented itself, I was really excited to join. So thank you for having me. And then I push this, yeah, again.
You push that again. So the last thing I want to do as part of my board chair report is to formally acknowledge that Marissa is now the new approved library director. And we got you in the start.
Very, very excited. Everything here has just been getting better and better. Yeah, really excited to be here, happy to be a part of the board and ready to help in any way.
So Marissa, is anything happening with LDAC?
Well, I can tell you Amy's appointment to LDAC was made official, finally. Amy, can you not hear me?
Yeah, she's got, something is off.
I just want to make sure. Anyway, her appointment was made.
I heard my name, but I couldn't hear anything else.
I was just talking about how for LDAC, your appointment to LDAC was actually made official. It should have happened back in June, but it wasn't. So she was officially approved and appointed by City Council on the 3rd, January 3rd. So I don't know when the next meeting is, but I can still tell you that the directors in Clackamas County, as far as getting more money for the libraries, are kind of taking their foot off the gas pedal for LDAC and trying to basically talk about creating a new tax to get more money for all the libraries that way. But that's going to be a couple of years out.
Yeah.
I mean, at
Yeah.
the minimum, but we are starting to do research on that. So yeah, I don't know when the next LDAC meeting is, but we do have a representative again. She should know about it.
Luke, you have anything? Have you been accepted to university?
I have, University of Oregon.
Yay!
So I'm excited about that. Anyways, I've met with the librarians at the high school, and I sent them the questions that I was given from the school when I applied to the position. They are not much. I can read them to you. It was briefly share why you're interested in joining the library advisory board and or any other information you'd like us to consider. And can you commit to attending library advisory board meetings? That's what they asked me when I joined.
Yeah.
And so I've talked to the librarians at the school. I've kind of given them a little bit of free range to be like, hey, you can use these questions, you can change them a little bit, you can add more, or, you know, I've given them kind of the liberty to do that. From a board perspective, if we would like to ask anything specific, that's something that I would love to take to them as well. If there's something that we would like to know about these high schoolers. And then in this, the teen member, we have March 1st as when applications should be made to the high school librarian. And so the only other thing that I wanted to know about is what are we looking for from them? Do we want a pool of applicants, or do we want them to narrow it down to one specific applicant? That would be my question is the board looking to interview just one person specifically or a range of people and then choose from there?
So I have a question before we answer your question. Does the student get any, maybe not official credit, but credit for like leadership activities? Is there any
Um,
requirement for that?
I don't believe so. I know that this can count for volunteer hours on the high school level, but there's no like, I think that's the only thing you really get credit for on that end.
So do you have to have a certain number of volunteer hours to graduate?
For seniors this year, it's 20, and then it goes back up to 40 the next year, and that'll continue on throughout all the next coming grades. That was a result of COVID. The number of hours required got bumped down to 20, but that'll be going back up.
It would be great to put it on a resume
Yes.
and
yes.
have it count towards your volunteer hours.
Mhm.
I would be happy to write a letter of recommendation for a school or jobs or anything like that too.
Yeah. And so I think it's just something that can carry more weight than maybe it has. And so I guess the question is just, do we want the school librarians to consider the applicants, or do we want our board to consider a pool of applicants is my question, I suppose.
How do people feel?
If I were the applicant, I'd want the board to want to talk to me, frankly.
I would love to talk to
Yeah, yeah,
the students who were interested.
yeah.
So
absolutely.
maybe we have the librarians limit it to no more than 3?
That's kind of the number that I had in my mind also.
Yeah.
Is if we get 3 applications. When I applied, I was, I think, the only one, but we're looking to pitch this more through like our librarians, who I think are doing a lot of outreach in our school right now, and also through our college and career center, to try and just loop more people into it that way. And so hopefully the number of applicants will go up this time around. So if we want librarians at the school to narrow it down to maybe 3 applicants, who can then talk to our board, and then the board can make a decision, and then that applicant can do the official city application, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I think that we're all agreed on that, we should change that on this process. I would like us to adopt a formal process. I think that's a
Yeah.
good thing. And I think that, we've got responsibilities. Maybe we should have a list of advantages, like, the WIFM, what's in it for me, for the student, because obviously the letter of reference from the librarian, see how the city functions, learn how to operate in a group with not just your peers, that type of stuff. So maybe we could kind of expand this a little bit and create it into a formal process.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Do you want me to take a crack at that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're the one what do you see are the advantages of coming, having done this for almost 3 years now?
I mean, when I first got into it, I was interested in government, which I'm not as much so anymore. But I mean,
Because of us, right?
no. But really, you get to function on more of like an adult level than you do in most school settings. And so I think that that's something that's really important to someone who might be interested in government, or to someone who knows that they might want to work in this kind of a setting when they grow up. I think that this is a really valuable
I think you should emphasize that this is a voting member. This is not, just a figure, token representative. This is a true voting member of the Library Advisory Board.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to take this, which I assume Linda we have someplace in Word, and then kind of
Yes.
spiff it up so it's got a little bit more to it, that would be, this is a great first start, but I think that the discussion shows that we would like it to be a little bit more formal and more with the students' advantages side of it too.
Yeah.
If I'm going to list responsibilities, I want to see what's in it for the person as well. But, anybody have any other comments for Luke or for this process?
I think one of the big advantages is that you're working on an adult board as an adult, which it's very, very, very few extracurricular things that students can do that put them in that position.
Yeah, and it's not mindless volunteer work. It's not like sitting and taking staples out of magazines or something like that. I just finished watching Back to the Future. Not Back to the Future, the Jumanji, taking staples out of magazines. You know, you actually have to think and, you know, but what's good for the city and what's good for the school, it's a little bit more cerebral than just showing up and doing something mindless.
Yeah. So
Um,
I will I'll spiff this up a little bit. And then I'm also still going to get our school librarian started on that process.
Yes.
So we won't probably have like this official policy or whatever in place technically for this one. We'll be following it, but we won't have like the document really until the next meeting, I guess.
Yes, you can give the school librarians this and just basically say, we're going to adopt a formal process. It's going to be more robust than this, but
Yeah.
we're just getting started. I think they all understand the term draft, you know. that-
Yes.
that We're just getting started on formalizing. They'll understand that.
Yeah.
So, and then once we get this formalized, we will adopt it as a formal process for ourselves. Does that sound good to everybody? So.
Yep.
Great, thank you, Luke and Linda. Linda will help write this up too. Okay, Marissa.
All right, I created one of the longest bi-monthly reports in the rest of the
It's-
from November and December. That's what we just did a lot. It was very, very busy. You can obviously see some of the stats in there. We basically combined our service desks officially, and that is the public services desk. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but it's been going really well. It's also been really helping staff get caught up with work because one person that's not busy can stay there and wait for people, and then the other person can shelve or do other things. So that's been going really well. As far as collections go, we're in the process of moving a lot of our collections just to make them more accessible, and also we've been putting a lot of the kids' new materials closer to the rest of the regular collections there. That way we can draw in everybody. Oh, look, here's the new stuff, and here's all the stuff that's been here for a while. To get kind of more serves and more books, and that's actually been working. That we've noticed. So Philip and I, and Amber was also there, we went to the Candy Kiwanis luncheon in December and presented on Philip's Maker Lab idea, which, if you know anything about our maker space in the back of the library, which is just a very interesting placement and room in general, because it has no windows or anything like that.
Yes.
We really want to create a Maker Lab back there, and so we essentially asked the Candy Kiwanis Club for basically some funds to do that. And so we're going to be getting funds to do that from a couple different sources, but really the Maker Lab is going to be a place where we have STEAM programming. You know, we're going to have 3D printers in there. This is what we're envisioning. We're going to have a lot of different little gadgets. We're going to have tables and chairs that can move and whatnot. And really, Philip wants to do very specific programs in there, but he also wants to have drop-in hours where kids can come and just do whatever they want with some of the stuff that we're going to have. He wants high-tech and low-tech stuff. And he did ask for a substantial amount of money that essentially will get us started. But he has a lot of really big dreams for that space, and I think that we're actually going to be able to make that happen pretty soon. So it's very exciting. Late Teen Art Contest is underway. So the application process recently closed, and so I actually yesterday looked at all of the art that was submitted around the county. Oh my gosh, these teams are so amazing. It's incredible. A Canby teen has not won, but we have gotten second place and honorable mentions all the time. So hopefully there will be Canby winner there pretty soon. Winter reading is currently going on. That's going to be through the end of February. So you can get a bingo card at the desk, and also didn't bring an example of it, but Melissa, one of our library assistants, her husband works for Canby, some graphic place in Canby. I'll put the correct name in the notes. And they got some sort of new product, and essentially it is paper that has like little seeds in it. So we made a bunch of bookmarks and donated them. And so you can color the front of the bookmark and then turn it around, and it says after, you know, winter, kind of into spring, you rip it up and plant it. And the coolest thing ever seen, so,
Yeah.
thank you, Melissa and your husband. The old map of Canby is back in the library, hooray. I was finally able to track it down, it was in the Public Works building. They were sad to see it go, but also, excited that we wanted it back. So it's in the very back of the library next to the Oregon Heritage Collection, also right in front of the makerspace room. If you wanna go see.
Yeah.
Programming was crazy. We did a lot of stuff. We had a lot of people come in, and we're continuing to kind of build back our presence in the programming world right now. One of the most exciting things I think we're doing right now is we brought back some of our technology talks. One of our on-calls, Colin, has actually been putting those on. So we had one, actually, I think we just had 2 sessions. One was today. And so basically those sessions are to teach our patrons essentially about some of the basics like Gmail, what it's like to create an email account, what Google Docs is, how to use link-related websites like the Cultural Pass Express program, and the catalog in general. And then we were originally going to do the Link mobile app, but for now, we're working on a new one right now. We're supposed to be getting it in March, I think. But instead, he ended up going through the Libby app. So we got some more people on board with that. And then we have some really fun programs coming up, including the Bay Ocean one, the resort that fell into the sea. I recommend coming to that talk. It is incredible. And this guy, Jerry Sutherland, who wrote a book on it too, which we have in the library. So recommend that. And then we've got some more music in the stacks comedy, a comedy performance coming pretty soon. And then our Candy Reads program is going to be starting. And we're going to be giving away 100 copies of Clara and the Sun. And then we'll have like every copy in the entire library system here if people want to check out a copy as well if we run out. But that's everything that went on in November and December. We've got some more stuff coming up in the next couple months. Not sure if any of you were here Friday for our goat story time. We had actual goats in the library.
Of course.
I think we saw a little bit over 200 people come in for that. Kids, families, people just walking through the library saying, why are there goats there? It was really, really fun. So we're planning on doing more fun stuff like that coming up. So other than that, that's why.
What story did the goats tell?
I don't know. Well, actually, here's the funny thing. We were asking for what the goats' names were, and they were insane. It was like whiskey,
Yes.
tango, flamenco, and salsa.
Yes.
Those were their names. And they were hilarious, and their favorite food was dried pasta. And they would
Yeah.
crunch it really loud in the kids' faces, and they were cracking up. It was the best time ever. Anyway, we'll probably be doing another one, and it also makes me think like, what other animals can we say?
Well, you might have to bring them out onto the,
Yeah,
in the summertime.
yeah, exactly. On the day it's not too hot.
So, does anybody have any comments or questions?
I have a comment and a question.
Okay.
The comment is, I love the color photos.
Yeah.
I feel like I was at every event, even though I wasn't. A follow-up comment would be, I'm so glad the map is back. It
Yes.
makes me happy, and that seems like a very appropriate place to put it. So that's very exciting. The question is, 222 cards in 2 months? That seems very high. Is that high? And what would you attribute that to? The winter reading program or?
It could be a variety of things. Sometimes it depends on the stuff that we post on social media. Sometimes it's people coming to the goat story time and saying, hey, I don't have a library card here. I'm going to get one. Generally, I would say almost every month, it feels like we're going up with the amount of library cards we're making. And you have to keep in mind too that if you don't use your library card in a 3-year period, you get erased from the system, we have to make you a new card. So sometimes we have a lot of people coming back to the library after a couple of years not being here. We're getting a lot of new patrons. We're getting a lot of patrons from other counties because we have that fixed agreement where we have a Lake card, we can go get a Milton Washington County card, and
Yeah.
vice versa. Partially because a lot of people are doing that because we basically have access to 3 separate catalogs for Libby, stuff like that. So in general, there's probably a million different reasons for it, but I also think that it has to do with just the vibe in the library these days. There's so much going on, so many really fun, awesome things. Everyone seems really excited to be back here, and I think honestly, the past couple of months, I have never received more kudos to our library staff for various reasons than I ever have. I mean, it's like, yeah, I used to tell people like part of the job that's difficult is people saying all the things that's wrong, and now I feel like we're hearing all the things that are right. So
Yeah.
it's been really fun, and I honestly think that numbers going up.
Well, it seems like it's a good number, so yes.
It is.
So yeah, I'm just really disappointed that Philip won't let me into the children's dancing classes. He says I'm not a child, but.
Hey, I'll let you in.
That I have been noticing, you know, when I'm in the library several times a week, and his programs are really phenomenal, but he's done an absolutely awesome job with making it fun for kids. And you want children to associate it being fun to go to the library. You know, you want those early memories made really, really quickly. So if no one has any other questions for Marissa, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Friends of the Library because so I understand that they also approved money for Philip's 3D printer.
Oh my gosh, yes, the Friends of the Library, there was a meeting, was it the end of
Last
week,
Friday.
Philip went to present and ask for some money, and then Terry also wanted money to start a seed library, which we're going forward with. And I got a check later that day. So I think everything is just going really well, and we're incredibly excited and grateful to be getting the amount of support that we're getting, monetarily or otherwise.
Well, I just happened to know about that because I saw Patty on Saturday, but I think that, I mean, whole purpose of the Friends is to support the programs at the library. I mean, that's the primary purpose. And so having programs to support is, you know, and you got to have the tools to have the program. So you have to have things like a 3D printer. So that part was really good too. And I assume that the Canby Reads is being paid for by the Friends.
You got it.
So they buy the books as well. And then they have an annual meeting every year. Their bylaws require it. And it's tomorrow at 4:00 in the Willamette Room. So.
And I'm presenting.
You're presenting.
So if
Good.
you want to talk some more.
That, yeah, I'll be there. Linda, will you be there?
Yeah, I'll be there.
So, oh, good, good. So a lot of the people who volunteer will be there as well. So that's, you know anything else about what's going on with the Friends, Linda?
No,
That,
I know nothing.
that's about all that I have for the Friends. Because I talk to people, I know what's got to that. So the report to City Council, I really didn't plan to do anything tonight because I wanted to wait to get Scott Sassy on board. I mean, number one, I think the primary issue of our report to City Council is going to be extending hours. And because that's the feedback that we've gotten. And maybe now say anything about how things are so much better now, but I don't know if we should say that. So I was really hoping that Scott would be here because I would like to send him, you know, I would like to sit and meet with him and send him the stuff and say, you know, I'd like for him to be involved in it a little bit. So I've constantly, you know, people give me feedback and I've incorporated it and stuff like that. I mean, I had to add Tiffany to the list of bios and that kind of stuff. I also kind of separated the report out into just as the introduction, this is the bios, so that when I send it back out to people, it's really easier to just say, oh, okay, in this section, I don't like this, that type of thing. But I was hoping that Scott Sassy would be here so we could discuss it. So I have really nothing to say about that because I would like to meet with him first.
Actually, if we could, because this is kind of related to the library hours, library staff really want to get your guys' input on the shifting of hours conversation, not extending, but the shifting of hours. I did put something in your packet,
Yes.
with two of the most popular choices. But we are, that was the last one. We're in the process of hiring a new librarian right now.
I saw that.
Get that
Yes.
posted.
Good.
So I'm doing collection development and volunteer stuff, which I I'm still doing, very happy to, give to somebody else so I can get some other stuff done. But with that being said, we would love to have this kind of settled before that person starts so we can get them a correct schedule. So I just wanted to present you with the two options that library staff have talked about the most, which is also these are the options that I feel like we can make work right now, for programming and for other reasons. But obviously you can see that first choice is we open at 10 every day, and then Monday through Thursday we close at 7 instead of 6, and then Friday, Saturday are the same. And then that second option is kind of going back and forth, so we get that 9 to 10 crowd, but also that 6 to 7 crowd. I will tell you, most staff prefer the first choice, just because they don't want to be confusing to anybody. But I'm curious what your guys' take on this would be, since we would really like to, we have to give everyone enough notice before we change their schedules. And so we really want to make sure this starts before spring, so just like figured.
I agree with you about the first choice. If you have different hours every day, you're gonna have people here every day, an hour before you open, and they'll be angry by the time you get open, so.
Because when I moved to Canby 9 years ago, we had the alternating hours open in the evening, and I drove down here so many times too, and it was like, I could never get this straight. So I agree with Linda. Number one, as far as I'm concerned, is the only choice. You know?
Yeah, and in any case, if the reason that people come at 9 AM is because they can't come, they couldn't come later in the morning because of their work hours, then being open until 7 will surely take care of that for
I think
them.
it's the mothers with, well, parents with small children and seniors who come at 9 AM.
Yeah, who don't want to drive in the dark.
Well, and they, you know, if you've got 3 little kids running, screaming around the house, it's easier to get them out of the house and take them to the library. I don't think it's the working people that come at 9 AM. I think it's, what I've seen at 9 AM is the seniors and the parents, not just mothers, but parents with small children,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So it's really doing a and this is something that, I think this is a good short-term fix. The problem is the library needs to be open longer hours, but yes, for a short-term fix, I would pick number 1. Okay, everybody in favor of number, oh, do we have to make a motion?
I'd like to make a comment.
Okay,
I'm really sorry. I want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. I would see that maybe, and I'm not disagreeing with you all. So if this is a short-term fix and the long-term fix would give us back at least one early morning day, I would be in support of that, because I think that there are still high school students that are on early release or late start, due to only needing a few credits left in the high school year. And then I think that there are college kids who would benefit from a 9 o'clock start as well. And so I just worry that we're leaving out a segment, a small segment. But I also remember when we had that conversation 2 meetings ago and we talked about the traffic later at night, it wasn't there. I remember that. And we're shifting that way. So if you build it, they will come. I understand that. We can do more programming. We could do more meetings in the meeting spaces. It all makes sense. I'd still love us to expand our hours down the road. And I support number 1 for now, but I'd love to see us.
I actually totally agree with you that I think that there is definitely a population in Canby that likes the 9 o'clock hours. And it absolutely kills me, but I do think that there's no good answer to this. The option of going back and forth drives people crazy.
I agree.
Yeah.
What
So
if
I
you
would be lost.
stole 2 hours from Saturday and we're open from 12 to 5?
People would punch us in the face, honestly. The Saturday people are very serious about their hours. I will say that temporarily, I do feel like number 1 is the best option. However, with that being said, if there is any possibility of us extending hours, I think a 9 to 7 schedule Monday through Thursday is what we would want.
Yeah.
So whatever we choose now, just know that it obviously can be temporary. We're hoping to do a citywide community survey in the next year or two, and we'll get more data from that. But at least for now, we're not hearing, most of the people we're hearing from are saying that they're upset that we're not open later past 6. And so that's kind of what we're trying to take into consideration right now, but I absolutely agree with you, and I think future wise, 9 to 7, those 4 days a week.
And you just said the magic words. We need an entire community-wide survey, because the last survey that I think that was done under Irene was just library users. And Canby's had a lot of growth. I mean, trying to figure this out without input from the community is next to impossible.
2 would work better if the 2 days that you're open at 9 were together instead of Monday, Wednesday, in my mind.
Yeah. I think at this point, most of our programming that would be later in the evening would be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that was kind of where that came from.
Well, but Wednesdays is 6 p.m. So that doesn't,
So I have a question.
that way.
The programming, is that programming always confined to these hours, or is that special rental of the room after these hours?
We can certainly go beyond that, but we don't have the
The
staff
staff,
to be
right,
able to do it.
right.
Yeah, I mean, we're right now so National Library Week is in April. We're talking about doing kind of like an open house event where it would be after our library hours. But again, that's going to take a lot of setting
Right.
and soldering and all that. So we do usually have to stay within those.
Okay.
Okay, somebody like to make a motion to take a vote on what our choice is?
I'll make a motion that we adopt option number 1 for the new hours, whenever that can be effective.
Seconded.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
My wife will be extremely upset when I tell her that I made this motion.
There's
Tell her you
definitely,
voted the other
but-
way.
yeah.
We'll get through that with therapy.
No, you're taking to New Zealand. So thanks for bringing that up, Marissa. I think it's an important topic. So the last two things.
Sorry, just a question though. So what does that mean? Like, is it like final? Like, when does this happen? How does that look going forward?
So I'm gonna bring that back to Amber. We've already worked on mock schedules for both of them. So my best guess, because we want to do it by the time the library can start, I would say probably March. Either beginning of March, somewhere in the middle, I'm not entirely sure, but probably March.
Yeah.
Because we have to give everybody, I think we usually do 30 day notice or something like that, so we'll work with all of that.
And
Awesome.
why
I'm gonna
not
start
have a
requesting
really
time.
big poster with the new hours posted on the windows too.
It's gonna be everywhere. And
Yeah.
we like to give everyone a huge, long, warning, just like with the public
Yeah.
services stuff. We were warning people for 2 months. And
Yeah.
then when we started it, they're like, what is this?
No,
So anyway, yes, we will
Yeah.
do some fun things.
yes.
So did you mention this to the Friends as well? Because it affects their, okay. It affects their schedule too.
Yes, there will still be, our 2 library assistants that do a lot of the crate checking in the morning with bolts and whatnot. They'll still be here at 8, so there will always be someone.
Yeah.
Volunteering to see it.
Yeah.
Likely one manager.
Okay. So the last 2 documents in our packet were the City of Canby Council values and goals. Did you?
Mhm.
Yeah, so just to basically give you some background, every year or 2, the city council goes through a goal setting meeting essentially, and they basically get input from all of the boards, and then try to make, their goals for the year soon. And so basically, when we were having that cultivating candy conversation, one of the things that Jamie told me was that, and Dawn, they said the best way to get the city council to basically adopt some of our own goals and values is to make sure they are known to us, and then we basically transport that information to them so they can include our goals and our values in their city council's goal planning session. And so all the directors also go through a similar session, around that period of time, just to make sure we're all kind of aligned. But this is really our chance to, tell the city council what it is we need, what our plans are for the future, what we're looking to do, and how they can support us in that way. Yeah, so there's really no specifics or anything. I put some examples in here, of the current goals. But the one thing that I did notice was that on the city council goals, I didn't see the library anywhere.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
And I think that just had a lot to do with the fact that the previous, boards had a lot to do in general and probably didn't know about this opportunity. And now that I know about it, I wanted to share it with you guys and then, have a discussion on what we could basically give to the city council so we can be included next time
Absolutely.
in their goals.
So are you going to work on something then to present to us for the next meeting, or?
I
Okay,
kind of already have, but yes. I'll tighten it up a little bit, but I also wanted to kind of open up this part of the discussion so you
To-
guys can tell me things. And if I already have it on my list, great. If I don't, I will add it. So if there's anything that you can think of that you would want the city council to know about what we do, what we need, and what we're looking to do in the future, this is where that is going to go.
I'm never good at off-the-cuff stuff, but I will take this home and read it and send you my thoughts.
Chris, I got a question on this document. Is this kind of stuff set in concrete until the next review, or is it an ongoing living document that you add and subtract either goals or objectives and everything as you go? Is this, I guess, what's the overall purpose?
It is technically set in concrete because they have to approve everything at a city council meeting, and it's basically what they end up working off of. But, like strategic plans and whatnot, not everything gets to be done. That's everybody's
Right.
lofty goals. They want to make sure they're putting as much information in there as possible, and whether or not they actually, get to everything is kind of besides the point. But this is basically a document that they work off of. There's a giant copy upstairs in the city offices. Every time you walk by, you see it. So I know people are constantly looking at that document, and I think that this is our opportunity to make sure that our needs are a part of theirs.
So I guess my question, we can add something in between all these other reviews and other goals that are put in there. We can add our own input as a special item when,
As far as that goes.
if they approve it, if they approve.
Right,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Basically, we just, like you see in the document,
Yeah.
there's a couple different departments in here.
Like-
And while we may or may not be a part of one of them, I would like to be our own goal.
Right.
Because we are a very important department in this city. We're in the city building. I just feel like there's so much more opportunity for us to get what we need by making sure the council knows what that is and they can work towards helping us get there.
And the truth is, the city wouldn't have had the building if the library
Yeah,
hadn't
that's
raised
good
money
point.
for it,
Very good point.
as a matter of fact. Not that we'd say that out loud.
No.
I
So
think I
it looks
just
like
did.
from 2017, one example would be that the Clackamas County Tourism and Event Center was specifically mentioned.
Mhm.
So I'm curious why we have one copy from 17, and one from 2022. How often do they adopt new goals? Do you know?
I
Every 5
don't
years.
actually know. I will say that I know for sure COVID stopped a lot of things in their tracks. But I don't actually know. And I know obviously the city council has they've had a lot of new members come in and whatnot. So I don't know if there was actually stuff that this was all I was in.
The piece that doesn't change probably from year to year are the value statements. And so one of the ways to approach this is to go to the values and develop our goals in order to meet each one of those values.
Good point, Linda.
That's very, yeah, good.
Governments all work the same.
Yeah, so obviously we don't
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's,
no,
there's,
Make
yeah.
this whole thing exactly what.
So
it needs
if
to
you
be.
have feedback for Marissa,
so there's no time limit on, there's no time deadlines or
No.
anything?
Their goal setting session is in February.
Okay,
so
It's
now.
mid-February, so I think it is actually like right before our next meeting, so if you guys just want to send me your thoughts, you can create a document and send it
Yeah.
out.
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay, good point.
But yeah, it doesn't need to be super complicated, it's just, we want them to know we're here and what we're doing, and we would love their support to get that done.
Right. Thank you, Marissa. That's actually very timely, because I didn't know about that, and I don't think a lot of other people
I
did
know,
either.
I didn't either, which is why I'm like, this is the time to get all
This
this
is the time
stuff
to do
done
it.
and organized. And then to make sure we're part of the process next time as well.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Next is the donation policy.
Yeah.
So Christy has provided a draft.
Yeah, it's very, very drafty. So it's my understanding that also library staff are going over some of these policies and tweaking them so that they, best, reflect what they would like to have happen. So this is kind of a combination of what we discussed here in our meetings, but also what was already on the website. So there were specific embedded links for kind of those two, we hope, ways that folks decide to donate.
Yeah.
So I just kind of copied and pasted and then added a few suggestion language that specifically, right, like the donations would not be accepted by library staff, like in the library. So, I mean, this can absolutely be teased out and there can be much more added so this is very, very basic.
Christy, I think it seemed to me that we needed to add a specific way of dealing with in-kind donations, with donations of paintings and et cetera. And what I've got are scratch notes, but something about in-kind donations to the library or the Friends of the Library become the property of those organizations and may be used to benefit the library at the discretion of the Friends Board or the Library Board. Valuation of the gift for tax purposes is a responsibility of the donor, which is, my husband's a tax accountant. So, and he said, no, you have to say that. But the critical thing in my mind is that the idea that when you give us a gift, it's given to us and we get to do what we want with it, because that's the piece people never understand. They think if they give you a beautiful vase, you have to leave it out where they can see it every time they come in. And I understand that, but that's not the way it works.
Didn't we raffle off a picture one time? I mean,
Yeah.
like shortly after we got into the library,
I don't know.
somebody donated something, and Joyce, I think, was in charge of the raffle.
Well,
because
it was
nobody wanted the
It was
picture.
the boy on the whale, I think. But I think.
So how do you all see that happening? Would that be that those in-kind gifts would go, like, filter through the Friends? Like, are they all
Either
willing
way,
to
yeah.
do that?
Yes, if they came through the
Okay.
library, to the library board or to the
Foundation.
foundation. Yeah, that's what it should have said, not the library board, but the library foundation.
So that's paragraph. If you donate something, they get to do whatever they want with it.
Yes,
If you have certain stipulations to that, like, we would rather you keep whatever it is, because that always gets us in trouble here. We get to, I have an office full of stuff that people have donated, I don't know what to do.
yes. Well, that's exactly
Yeah,
the
so for
problem.
like 20 years.
And I mean, and I think that if we have that codified so that when people ask if they can make a donation, we can say, well, here are the restrictions. You know, here's the way that works.
Well, and the advantage of having it in a written policy, if people call up and say, well, I've got something, and well, first go to the website and read the policy, so that if they absolutely insist that the vase be kept, then this isn't the right place for it, so that's why it's really important that it be codified clearly and put out there for the public to read, and when people ask questions, we say, will you start with the policy?
Yeah. So that, no, that makes absolute sense. What I saw on the website is that it's kind of two-pronged. And so I wanted to make sure that when I researched both entities individually, the Friends page specifically talked about books, magazines, things like that, not pictures, vases. And then the foundation said money. So there's that like middle ground where I think that's, my understanding is maybe then those people are going to library staff saying, this is what I have, and there's no.
Yeah, people understand that if they give you money, you're gonna spend it the way you need to spend it. Unless they, but they don't understand when they give you that beautiful picture that grandma painted, that that you're not gonna hang it someplace in the library forever.
So basically, we're trying to discourage anything other than the normal stuff the Friends take and money. I mean, we're really, so the language needs to be like, yeah, too bad, so sad, pardon my French, but we're really trying to discourage those types of donations.
Well, I think people understand the term in kind, I mean, which is really most of what's donated to the Friends are in-kind donations, they're books. And I think people understand, they don't expect to come into the store and find their book on the shelf necessarily. I don't see there's any expectation. The problem is, when the in-kind donation is the sort of thing that comes mostly through the foundation, I would think, or directly to the library.
Yeah, I will say this would be helpful for staff too, because we do get patrons who donate stuff, and then I get it on my desk and it has a note that says, if you're not gonna add this to the collection, call me, I'm gonna come pick it up again. We don't want, that's just too much extra work for everybody.
no kidding.
So we want people to know, if you're gonna donate something, we get to do whatever we want with it. If you're not okay with that,
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Can we just say, these are the donations we accept?
We do that and people still.
Oh, okay, so basically.
But that's why we want language
Having
about
the clause makes it so
Yes.
that no matter what happens.
Yes.
Okay.
It would be super useful to have something like this and then put it on the website. We could say, if you have a donation, go here, this is our policy. If you still want to donate, bring it.
Well, most places that accept donations have a statement like that sitting out right in front, so that there's no confusion about what happens with the donation.
When you donate it, you're releasing,
So strategy-wise,
Yeah.
could we put it in paragraph 3?
Mhm.
And do we, as the library advisory board, have the authority to put that in on behalf of Friends of the library? Because it's really the Friends'
It's actually, this sort of donation doesn't very often come to the Friends. Occasionally it does, very occasionally. But the more critical place is at the desk in the library when people are dropping stuff off with the thought that they're giving it to the library. It makes sense that they bring it to the library.
So then it could go at the bottom of this policy
Yeah,
instead.
yes.
And nothing else would have to change. It's just clarifying language that they don't
Yes.
have rights
Yes.
to it or
Yes.
a say in it once it's donated, wherever they donate it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love having it right on the policy, because then I know when I reach out to the Friends or the foundation,
Yeah,
I already know, I've
Right,
already.
right. Sure.
Right, this is not a Friends policy or foundation policy. This is a library policy. And that's part of our duties, is to, write or edit library policies as we see fit. I mean, it's, Mrs. team has that too, but it's also our job to do this. So I think it's really important that we do take this on and make it really clear. We're trying to make life easier for the librarians, basically. I mean, the purpose of policies is really so you don't have to run back to people with questions every time something happens, I mean, they're there for a reason.
I got a question, like, you've got, the key sentence is donors are encouraged to reach out to these, Friends and the foundation. Why can't that be a stronger statement? That is, the policy is, this is where you go. I guess I'm confused here. Why do we have to get staff here involved with donations per se?
Could we say donors must reach out?
And that would be fine with me. Yeah, I would love that, because I think I'm still confused with like, that there's two entities. One sounds like money and one sounds like books and media. And if folks are still wanting to donate this thing that neither one of those captures, then the answer, and maybe that is either you must talk to these two entities and see what they will take and what they won't, and that's the end. Or is there something else the Friends or the foundation is going to change what they do and accept random pieces of art and do what they want to do with it?
Yeah.
And I feel like those are two different
I'm
things.
just trying to figure out a
Yeah.
diplomatic way to remove our
Absolutely.
staff, our library staff,
Yeah.
from dealing with these
Yeah.
inadvertent things
Generosities.
that happen.
They're generosities.
And the thing is, you could say, well, possession's 9/10 of the law, which is kind of what an attorney would say. And they're here, and then we get there, it says, we don't want that, and it goes in the dumpster. But that's another staff issue. Somebody's got to put that in the dumpster.
Right.
So donors must reach
Must.
out to.
I love that.
I'm thinking that is there a diplomatic way to get people there, and then it's up to those two organizations to decide whether they want it or not.
I love it.
And then they come back to you or whatever. The Friends can say, hey, we got this thing, it's very valuable. Can we put that artwork up there? That's a one-on-one between you and the Friends, or you and the foundation.
I would like to have either a phone number or an email address that maybe some of those requests can go to, because like you said, right now, we have a lot of staff are basically taking donations right now for Friends because people are not reading what we say when we say we need to schedule a drop off and whatnot. And then every once in a while, we have patrons come in and then they put something down and they say, hey, I'm donating this. And then they just leave. And we're like, what are we supposed to do with it? There's a lot of that going on, and I just would like it to be clear. We either choose to not take any of those things, period. Or if we do, like to maybe put donations at well.
What I don't like about that is that I'd rather they go to one of those, both are on the website, make them active links. And have the phone numbers or emails there, as opposed to on this policy. Make them active links and take it off this. And the more times you put that out there, if it changes, the more times you have to change it. So it's very bad from a technology perspective to do that.
Well-
It's more work for the person doing it, but it's a click.
Somewhere to point them would be great.
The logistics problem you have is that the chance that somebody is going to come into the library and find somebody who's a member of the Friends who would know how to deal with this at present, at that moment, is very small. The chance that one would come into the library to make a donation and find someone from the foundation is non-existent. So, anybody who comes into the library to make a donation is going to give the donation to one of the staff members.
Yes, and no matter what we put in the policy, they will do whatever they want.
Well,
Exactly.
can you have like this printed on, half of an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and hand it out to people saying, here's, so when they try to hand something, when I try to hand something to Rick, he turns around, he hands me the piece of paper on the donation policy
This is
saying,
the procedure for that
yeah,
donation. This
and
is
the
procedure.
information's all
Because
over.
we're not a philanthropic organization, the library is not,
No,
is not equivalent to the
Friends
foundation.
or the
or the-
foundation.
But what I hear though,
So we shouldn't be doing their job and they shouldn't be doing our job.
what I hear though are opportunities.
Yeah.
People are feeling warm and fuzzy towards their library.
Yes.
They're thinking of the library. They don't understand our
Right.
structure. And they walk in and they've got this gift of theirs. They might have they're already attached to the library, so there's opportunities with these patrons who care enough about the library. If it's not a set of 1976 Encyclopedia Britannicas that they just don't want to put in the garbage can, but if it's really a gift, it's really something that they want the library to have, they may want to support the library in other ways too. And so it's such a problem because
You
these
know
people
what
are
the
the people
problem-
that are going to buy the tickets to
One
the.
of-
to
You know
the-
what the problem is,
One of
Jennifer,
the
is
slick
that for
ways
those
to-
of us who work in the Friends, we get so much junk because people will not take care of their own garbage. And it's, it is amazing how much stuff.
Yeah,
And stuff like that, and then sometimes we have on-calls who don't really know
the
enough
20-year-old
about what
globe
to do,
would
and
have
then
been
we
worth
take it, and
money.
then we have this.
We'd have
I'm not
sent
saying
that,
there
Yeah.
we'd
won't
have
be
sent
all
that
this,
to the
mean-
antique shop.
We're not a museum, we're not a museum, we're not a
Some
museum.
people think we are.
We are not, you can put that in writing, we're not a museum, we're a library.
No, there's an
A
easy,
community library.
simple way to handle this, folks.
I mean, you just
Pe-
put the
People
right
like
words
to
in.
get a donation slip, an acknowledgement of a donation.
Yeah.
All that has to happen is the statement about what happens with in-kind donations be included in that.
Exactly.
In that receipt. That's all that has to happen, is that needs to be put in. The whole policy could go into our, wherever our policies go. And
They're online.
Yeah, online, but all that, just that last little statement about in-kind donations needs to be on that receipt. It's simple and easy.
That has the rest of the information.
Yeah, simple and easy. Yeah, you know,
But again, we still need to figure out what to do for when that stuff comes here, because I'm not gonna give a donation receipt to somebody who gave us a globe for 20 years ago. Partially because, one, I don't know what to do with it, and two, it's not our job to take people's stuff that they just don't.
No, the other option, because this has been true for as long as I've been in Canby, tell them to take it to the Kiwanis Donation Center. The Kiwanis donates money to the library every year.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
So,
That's a good point.
and maybe we put that in the policy, items that do not fit in these categories could be donated to the donation center on 99, and the Kiwanis donates money to Canby, to the library
Yeah.
regularly. I wouldn't say annually, I'd say regularly,
That's a good suggestion.
you know,
yeah.
that,
That's good.
because they're the ones, they deal with junk stuff. They deal with stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's their job. You haven't gone home filthy from cleaning some of those treasures, Jennifer.
Treasure.
Oh, yeah, we've had stuff that I have like
It's-
boxes of moldy books.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
moldy,
It's that-
stinky. Oh,
yeah.
dog pee, cat pee, you name it.
Lots of food.
And more sets of 20-year-old encyclopedias
I
than
just
you
saw
can
some
believe.
really neat DVDs in the Friends
Yeah, I know.
donation.
Yes, but when they come in
Wow.
black. Okay,
In fact, I wanted one of them.
Yeah,
I would
we
like
could make
someone
that
to make a
happen.
motion that we adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Anybody second it?
Second.
Everybody in favor, say aye. This meeting is adjourned. I will try to get together with Scott Sassy, and I will keep you guys posted on what we accomplish.